So as a doctor and an entrepreneur. My doctor side is, I work out of Fortis Hospital, St. John's Medical College, some private clinics in Bangalore. And my innovation side is running this medical devices company called InnAccel, which develops affordable medical devices, for our Indian healthcare setting. And because I'm an ENT surgeon, I can take the liberty to call myself a doc e-entrepreneur. There's not many people can do that. Before I proceed with talking about inventing medical devices, I think I need to give you an overview of what our healthcare ecosystem is going towards. Can I get a show of hands of how many doctors are here? There's a lot of doctors, great. That's a lot of doctors actually. How many hospital administrators here? Great. How many nurses? Nursing staff, all right. So we all represent the healthcare provider group, right? And all of our work is basically to deal with this growing and ever-evolving mutated human species called the patient. And I define the Indian patient as someone who has a disease but thinks they are a doctor. And I come across them all the time. I mean, I was in the train recently and I just sneezed a couple of times, and there was this gentleman sitting in front of me, and he was like, Dekho, you're having a running nose, na? What you do is you take a hair dryer, put it in warm, okay? Point the hair dryer towards you, and you take Vicks, keep under it, and just blow it towards your face for half an hour every day. All allergy will go. I'm an ear, nose, throat surgeon. Allergy is my bread and butter. I just told him I was a poet, so he wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the journey. So, that's one thing. And it's not only that, the way patients are interacting with doctors is changing now, like it wasn't before. I mean, in many parts, especially on the private side, patients almost shop for medical treatment like they're going to a vegetable vendor, Like, I've almost had this experience of a patient coming to my clinic and saying, Doctor Saab, surgery kaisa diya ye? Ye kitne ka hai? Ye fresh hai kya? Kitne hai? Baju wala hospital to half price mein de raha hai. Chalo Sushma chalte hain. It's almost like that, right? They shop for medical treatment. And now it's evolving even more, When a patient is brought to a hospital, the attenders basically believe that that's it, job is done, now the patient will be saved. But that's not true. Our healthcare is so complex. The body is so complex, diseases are so complex, we can't predict it. And then patients get angry, and the relatives get angry. And nowadays doctors start getting beaten up. It was never heard of before. But it's become quite a scary profession now for doctors getting beaten up, And when this started happening, me and my friends, we had a meeting. And we thought that, let's just brainstorm next time if attenders come to beat us up, what strategy will we use? Right? We're talking about strategy and all that here. So about 10 or 15 of my friends, we gathered and we thought that let's brainstorm and let us dress up as bring our idea of how we will save ourselves next time a patient's attender beats us up, right? One of my friends dressed up like a cricket batsman because he had pads and abdomen guards, 2-3 guards here and there and all that. He was an orthopedician, so he was saving his bone. There was another friend of mine who put a tattoo on his hand of the Indian flag. He's like, if anybody beats me, he's anti-national. He was a dermatologist. There was another doctor who put the state flag on his glasses so that nobody breaks the glasses, right? Because what happens in riots, when you put a state flag on the glasses, nobody breaks it. This guy was an ophthalmologist, so he wanted to be safe. There was a lady, she came with her bodyguard. She was a gynecologist. So she came with her guys. And, so that your doctors are protected. There was another doctor who came with a tranquilizer gun. If I see an attender, behaving a little strangely, I'm just going to shoot the, attender with a tranquilizer gun. This guy was an anesthetist. So, thought of, let's just use anesthesia. But there was one doctor who didn't come with anything. And I was like, boss, if someone comes and beats you, don't you have a plan in mind? He's like, yeah, I have a plan in mind. So what will you do? It's like, if I see the patient's attenders starting to become angry and they're charging towards me, I'll stand up and loudly sing the national anthem. Then I will have to stop, they will have to stop. And we'll keep standing till security arrives. This guy was a psychiatrist. Anyways, giving you that perspective, when I started off, I think almost about 17 years ago, during my started my MBBS, I wanted to just be a regular doctor, right? And you know, I reached that stage when you're an intern. You know what an intern is? It's the first time you see a patient. And I remember being so excited that day. Anybody from Karnataka here? Oh, fantastic. Namaskara. Super Gidira. Okay. I did my undergrad medicine from a place called Tumkur. Anyone from Tumkur here? No? Gotu. So I was from Tumkur District Hospital and I was doing my internship there. And I remember how excited I was on who my first patient will be. You know, our first is very important. First birthday, first friend, you know, first relationship, first marriage nowadays. It's a trending thing, right? I want to know who my first patient was. You know, suppose my kids grow up and they ask, Papa, how was your first patient? I have a story I want to tell, right? And I remember that night before my first, first day, I studied a lot. In fact, that really wasn't my first day. I'll tell you, my first day of my medical internship was actually quite an incident. You know, my first posting was OBGYN, obstetric gynecology, and I make a lot of mistakes, okay, by the way. It was 1st of May, literally Labor Day for me. And I was moved into the labor ward. And you know, after all this reading, after books, the first time I'm seeing, women delivering, right? And I didn't know what to do. It's my first internship, I'm there in the labor ward. And I was accompanied by this very senior nurse called Narsamma. Name changed. And I was supposed to deliver this lady called Garbhamma. Name changed. And even though I grew up in Bangalore, there's some language dialects I didn't understand. So every time, Garbhamma would go into labor and she had contractions, Narsamma would say, Mukkama, 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 Mukkama. I haven't read this. I really haven't read what is she trying to say. She's trying to say something. And another contraction, Mukkama, Mukkama. So I also started doing Mukkama, Mukkama. And this kept on going on. I got very confused. I went to the waiting area. And I'm like, Mukkama, where are you? They're calling you here. And suddenly Narsama comes and says, Doctor, you're so cute, doctor. So cute. Mukkama in Kannada means push. Oh. Pushpama! She was removed from that posting because Pushpama's husband was looking for me. His name was Gundappa. So I didn't want to take any chances. Anyway, then I moved to my actual first day of posting, which I was put to medicine. And medicine is a good posting to start with. Medicine, you get to see patients. It was my favorite subject. I studied the whole night, right? And I was so excited about my first patient. I was like almost picturing like Dr. House, MD. I'm going to take the entire history of this patient. Like Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to decipher the diagnosis just by the question and answers, right? And then I'm going to give the right amount of investigations to confirm my diagnosis. And I'm going to give the right amount of care, by tender love and care and medicines that the patient requires. I was super excited. I was greeted in the morning by a very terrified looking attendant who basically asked me to go from the back entrance of the chamber, right? And I'm sitting inside. And he had only one question, Sir, did you have your breakfast? I'm like, yeah, I had my breakfast. He asked it 5-6 times. It's like, Sir, breakfast, you had na? Tindidira? I'm like, yeah, I've had. And then he made me sit in a room where there were 2 doors on the other side, or the back of the room. And there was something very strong and heavy behind those doors. I could not figure out what it was. And this attendant says, Sir, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. And he unleashes the 2 doors. I kid you not. At least 100 patients ran into the room together at the same time. And my only concern was, who came first? Who's my first patient, right? All of them are talking together. Sir, BP sir, fever sir, BP sir, temperature sir, sugar sir, BP sir. All of them are talking at the same time, right? And at that moment, I forget my first fantasy. I'm like, I have to decongest this room, right? If I hear fever, I say paracetamol. If I say pain, I give a painkiller. If I don't know what to do, I send for an investigation. Figure it later on. I'm looking at all the medical reps and stuff, all drug names. I'm like, what to tell, That's the situation, guys. Now you must be wondering, why is our healthcare situation like this? This is a very common occurrence. We have one doctor for 1,700 people. One doctor for 1,700 people. It's not that bad. The World Health Organization says you should have one doctor for 1,000 people. 1,700 is not that bad, right? But what happens when most of these doctors are concentrated on the few large cities and many of them go abroad? Then the moment you move towards semi-urban rural, this is the kind of scenario you see. The ratio skews immensely, right? And this is a very common thing. I mean, any of you doctors over here who've done internships or worked in hospitals that are government in tier 2, tier 3 cities, this is a very common occurrence, seeing 100, 200 patients a day. It's like a natural thing for you, right? But this happens a lot. And at this point of time, you see so many problems, which is just no time to solve for it. And it doesn't get better because I went into St. John's Medical College in Bangalore. Have you heard of St. John's Medical College? Yeah, I did my ENT from there. Anyone from St. John's here? Oh, okay. I did my ENT from there, and things get even more than 100 patients a day. Other problems start coming. You have to go. You have surgical rounds. You have a surgical field. So attending rounds, doing surgeries, hosting conferences, and all of these things add to it. You see a lot of problems. Wasn't able to solve it. There was one particular activity that St. John's used to do. It used to send doctors to an outreach center. There's this place called Muglur where I used to go with a senior doctor, and seniors like to rag juniors, right? That's what they do. That's what they're for. So one day I was examining a patient, and I was examining the throat. Do you know today how we still examine the throat? Let me explain to you. We sit in front of the patient. We ask the patient to open the mouth. We hold the tongue with our bare hands. And then we get the nice whiff of warm breath. And we take a mirror. We wear a headlight. Okay, or sometimes if you're lucky, you'll have a bullseye lamp from the side. From that reflection of that light, we'll take this mirror inside, which is fogging with every breath. Right? With drooling saliva from the side. And in every breath, I'm telling you, it's easier to see the moon in Karwa Chauth, which is tomorrow or something. Right? And suddenly you get a quick view of the vocal cords. I saw it. Like that. In that second, with that reflection, you're supposed to diagnose what throat condition this patient has, right? And I was struggling like anything, and I wasn't able to ever understand how to do this. And my senior is seeing another patient with the same condition or similar condition, and to rag, this is what he tells me: Jagdish, come here, tell me your findings. So I go and I sit, and I don't want the patient to feel awkward, so I pretended like I knew what I was doing. So I sat in front of the patient, made sound, but I couldn't understand what was there. So my friends had told me that if you don't know what it is, you tell the most acceptable answer. So I said he was normal. Somehow body takes care, God takes care. My senior's reaction was this: at least you found out what it was, I couldn't see anything myself. That's the first time fear gripped me. Because both of us didn't know what we were doing to this patient. Forget guesswork. We were sitting and doing something with our lives, we had no idea. And that's when I thought, this is not right, because this patient's completely relying on healthcare, and we are the healthcare. We are coming from a big hospital, and we don't know what's there in this patient's throat, right? So I do something that most people don't do, is I go to my boss and I question him. I was very fortunately blessed with a very angry boss, Dr. Ravi Nair. I have this permission to use his name. Extremely angry person. But I grew up with learning disabilities. I used to question a lot. So I go to his chamber and I'm like, sir, why in some rural area where we have to pick early lesions of the throat, we use some mirror technique, reflection and all of that. And here in our medical college hospital, if a patient comes with a lesion, we have this huge endoscopy system with a camera, 3D and this light and all that. At this stage, you can almost see the patient's cancer from outside. There, where you can't see anything, we have this rudimentary thing. Why can't we have something like this over there? Dr. Ravina looks down for a few seconds, breathes heavily, and looks at me. And this is his exact words. He says, Jagdish, tu bhokne wala kutta hai ki kaatne wala kutta hai? Are you a barking dog or are you a biting dog? I'm like suddenly out of question syllabus. So, biting, barking. Barking dog is never good. So I said, sir, I'm a biting dog. He says, tu bhonk kyun raha hai? All I hear is barking. Why this is not there, why that is not there. What is this? If you're a biting dog, you do something about it. Why are you barking to me? I'm the head of the department. I have 100 things to do. Everyone's barking. This is not there, that is not there, this is not there, that is not there. If you have this other problem, you do something about it.
Why are you coming and barking to me? I'm like, sir, I earn 9,000 rupees per month. I'm a junior resident in ENT here. What can I do with that little bite? He's like, no, you want to do something about it, you do something about it. Don't come barking to me if you're a biting dog. So like, okay, what should I do? Luckily, in India, Indian children have Indian parents. So I went to my father and said, Papa, 1 lakh rupees dena. He's like, 1 lakh dena? It's like 1 lakh project, some project I have to do. And I borrowed some money from my parents. And here's what I did, because I wanted to do something about it. And also, Dr. Ravina was my thesis guide. And I had already made him angry, so I had to do something. So I bought a camera. We didn't have mobile phones that advanced at one time. So I bought a digital camera of Canon. And I got a mechanical engineer to fix that a coupler on that camera such that any ear, nose, throat endoscope attaches to the camera, right? And it would pull the light source from the camera, so it becomes like a portable endoscopy system. Guys, I was amazed with what I saw, because next time when we went to Mughal at the outreach center, I could actually show the patient his vocal cord through a camera on that screen, right? And I could tell him that, boss, look at that injury over there. Yeah, that looks dangerous, right? That patient stopped smoking, and for every week kept coming saying, doctor, put that camera, show me is it still there, right? His compliance level changed. His understanding of what was there changed. First, he used to think that doctors are simply saying something. Now he sees what has happened, right? And that was a big eye-opening moment for me. And I got very excited. I went to Dr. Ravinar and said, sir, look, sir, I made a bite. Maine kata laga. I made a bite. So I thought he'd be very happy. But this is what he says. He says, Jagdish, if you would have not done anything about it, I would have forgiven you. Because a lot of people don't do about many things. But now you have made something. Now, if this doesn't reach the patient, you are not passing ENT. I have already made something. Why don't we use it and live happily ever after? Like, no, this is just a prototype. This is still looking very weird. And how will you use it on patients? If you use it, it might work one day, it might not work the other day. No, now you have gone on to something, you have to finish this. I'm like, sir, how will I finish? I came to do ENT, I have made something. He said, no, finish it. I'm like, so what do I do? How do I take this forward? I said, doctor, I don't know how to make this anything beyond this. He said, no, you have to form a company. You have to form a company, you have to get funding, you have to get engineers, designers, develop this product and take it all the way to the patient. It has got something useful in it. You've got a 2 lakh rupee device to 6,000 rupees device. It's remarkable. Take it forward. Don't end it like that. Say, okay, what do we need for a company? He says, you need a co-founder. Co-founder. So I went home, I had a wife. So she was there. I asked her, you are my partner in life. Do you want to form a company with me? She said, no. So I went to the next best option, her sister. She agreed. Sali aati gharwali. So she agreed because she was from IIT Chennai and she'd done aeronautical engineering. She didn't know where to apply it. So she was like, okay, I'll work with you part time. I understand engineering, and I'll be the co-founder of your company, and we'll take it as far. And her husband was from business management from IIM Cal. So he said, I'll help you with the business things. And the three of us, all part time, created this company called Yukti Medical Innovations to take this product forward. It was the most horrible time of my life because, as doctors, I have no clue how to invent, right? How do you get money? How do you do what? I mean, like, everyone almost rejected us. We had a huge financial crisis. If we went to an engineering company, they would, this is how they basically told how I can develop the device. I needed a PCB light source for my product, right? And you know what they told me? We'll have to hire 2 engineers. You have to pay them 80,000 rupees a month. In 3 months, we may make it. Because we can't say it's technology. I'm like, I earn 9,000 rupees a month. Where will I get 80,000 rupees a month to feed these 2 engineers, right? The design firm charges 6 to 8 lakhs to make it look humanly acceptable, ergonomic design. Where do we get that kind of money from? No grants would give grants to a part-time doctor. No investor was willing to give money to a part-time doctor. My boss was not willing to make me clear the exam till this product goes through. So I was literally stuck, right? And then suddenly an idea struck me. I was like, somebody told me, yaar, product mein paisa nahi hai. You have to go into services to make money. I was like, okay, what service can I do? So then I started a teaching methodology called medical theatre because I've been doing theatre and dramatics all my life. And I thought, I will teach people concrete medical subjects using theatre and dramatics. And I will charge students money for it. Students give me thenga. I thought I'll charge medical colleges for it. Medical colleges give me thenga. So that service model failed. Until my theatre friend said, no, no, boss, we're not reaching the right target. He got his pharmaceutical industry friend, who was very interested in this because his medical reps did not understand the drugs they were selling. He said, can't you teach this medical theatre thing to our medical reps so they can start selling cardiology drugs much better, answer doctors' questions. So they're like, okay, great, at least 5,000-10,000 will come. My theatre friend said, no, 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 you're a doctor, you don't negotiate about money. He goes in and cracks a deal of 3 lakh rupees for a 3-day workshop. I know what you're thinking right now, it's too late, you've already joined here. And I was like, whoa, that's corporate training, guys. Corporate training and all of these things, they have a lot of money for it, right? I did 8 or 10 such workshops and we had like 25 lakh rupees. I funded the engineers and the design company to at least develop the product forward, right? But you know what happens is when you start getting a lot of money, the theatre group also started getting a little complex and dynamics started changing. And eventually I had to go to Dr. Ravinar and I said, sir, literally, sir, I have tried everything. My friends want to kill me because they're doing extra duties when I am not there. And I'm really trying to struggle in a field I have no idea about. Please clear me, and I tried my best. We have a device at a better phase now. Let's just accept this and move on. He's like, okay. I was like, happy. I'll at least clear the exam. Just as I was leaving the door, you know what he says? Jagdish, if we don't know how to invent, somebody must be knowing. Like, yes, sir, somebody must be knowing. Why don't we learn from them? Why, sir? There's some fellowship program, some training program, somebody must be. How do doctors invent? How are doctors learning outside India? Find out. Like, sir, then he himself found out and he told me about this wonderful program that actually the government of India was running called Stanford-India Biodesign. The Department of Biotechnology funded program. It's a beautiful program that sends one doctor, one engineer, one designer, and one scientist from India, like Lord of the Rings, pack them up. They go to Stanford University. They learn the process of how to invent devices because they've been inventing devices for the last 17 years in the Bay Area, the ones that we import at 2 times the price, right? So we go there, learn the process of how to invent devices, and come back to India at All India Institute of Medical Sciences in collaboration with IIT Delhi. It's a fantastic program, right? He said, you join this program. I'm like, sir, if I enter this program, can I clear? He's like, yeah. So I gave the application and I got selected for that program. They select only one doctor every year. In 2012, I got selected and Dr. Ravinar cleared my thesis. So I was wondering, what do I do with this product now? Have you guys seen Godfather? I called my design firm, who was working on this product very closely, and I gave them an offer they could not refuse. I basically told boss, I'm leaving to the US, I'm going to learn this process of inventing devices, but this is going to lie on my desk, you take it over, I will sign any deal. Whatever royalty, whatever percentage, whatever it is, this is your product. They got very excited. They're like, yeah, this is a great deal for us. We got a device that we were working on, and now we can take this over. So I basically signed a licensing deal with a ridiculously low amount and gave it to them. And I was off to Stanford University to learn how to invent devices with my team. Now at Stanford, I got a few realizations. They were literally shocks to me. One is, most of the people teaching the process of inventing devices there were doctors from India with American accents. Raj Doshi, Uday Kumar. I went to one of the doctors and asked, where did you do your MBBS from? Borivali, Mumbai. You know Niagara Cooper? Yeah. So, and I almost drank for 2-3 nights because I just couldn't digest it. We are coming from India on government money to come to the US and Stanford to learn from Indian doctors who have studied from India. But, and they're teaching us how to invent devices. I was like, how is this happening? What is different here? What is different? We've got the same training. We're very similar, you and I. How are you able to invent and how am I not able to invent in India? So this is what they tell me, Jagdish. Look, when you come to the United States of America, when you come to Stanford University and you've got an idea, if you go to the cafeteria, you can talk to a designer, You can talk to a business graduate, you can talk to a lawyer, you can talk to a doctor, you can talk to a design school expert, you can talk to a model if you're getting bored. You can talk to whomever you want, right? And you can share your idea with them. And if you want to form a company, Stanford University is going to give you a sabbatical.
I can't really go to him and say, "अबे company बनाएगा तो बचाता हूँ." क्या बोल रहे हैं? नहीं? Anesthetists? I can't do that, right? That's the only time I meet a non-medical person is when the patient, this is a patient form, right? Where do I go and meet engineers and designers? Where do I have cross-disciplinary team? In Stanford, the only takeaway that I came back is the reason why they're able to invent is because they work in a cross-disciplinary team. The engineer, doctor, designer, scientist, they all work together. They all find the problem together. The engineers, doctors, and designers spend 2 months in the hospital just observing problems. Or things are going wrong, they're just writing it down. And then they analyze those problems, and they find the top problems, and then they invent, right? Not like our natural instinct to get do an invention is like love, idea आ गया, अब मैं इसी को बनाऊंगा, it's like that. But there they basically analyze a lot. They spend a lot of time in the hospital and then invent a solution, and they work in teams. And I came back with that takeaway, and this is what I did. I started replicating it. I started creating teams and started developing devices which are need-based. And here's what I did to my previous device. My previous device, which was the ENT screening device, I realized I had done something very wrong. Because I had invented it like an idea at first sight, right? I fell in love with my idea. Like the only way to solve it is to take a camera and put endoscopes to it. But I was completely wrong. Because I had made a low-cost solution for rural areas, but the skill requirement was of an ENT specialist who is not there in rural areas. It's a clear miss of the market understanding, right? Then I had to remake the device for someone who's there in rural areas, which are health workers. Health workers are growing a lot, but their skill requirement is almost like a high school standard pass-out person. So we actually had to redesign the entire device, eliminate scopes from it, and make it zero skill requirement for health workers. The moment we did that, this got bought out by a big company called Medtronic. And today, I think over 1,000 health workers are using this device across the country. And I think over 300,000 patients have been screened with ENT diseases, right? Just by understanding that and developing it. And then the cycle continued. I worked with my engineering design teams. As a doctor, I worked with full-time engineer design teams because they would develop it full-time and I would phase in and phase out with my clinical practice based on how it would work. Trust me, 7 years I've been doing this, not one day I've not seen a patient. I think this myth that doctors have to become inventors, they have to leave their job is absolutely not true. I operate 8 to 10 cases a week. I get a lot of patients, but I'm also part of 8 companies that are developing devices, and it can all be possible if you have an engineer and a designer that is running the show the full time, because they are the ones who are going to develop it, and the doctors can give their inputs in and out, right? So here's a liver biopsy device, low-cost liver biopsy device. This is a device that drains fluid out of the abdomen, parasafe for abdominal parasynthesis. I ran the program for the government of India for a year called Stanford-India Biodesign Internship. I did the same thing. I got 12 people, divided them into 3 teams, sent them to the hospital so they observed problems for 2 months, filtered those with structural data, came up with top needs. The products got sold out to Indian manufacturing companies in the span of 6 months. This product is already in the market. Thorashield, the one in the top, it helps in pleural tapping in a safer way. It reduces the risk for pneumothorax. AccuFeed is a very accurate way to put an nasogastric tube inside the stomach without it going into the windpipe in paralyzed patients, right? And these products were developed quickly and they got licensed out quickly because they were understood well with the healthcare setting, and plus they had doctors and engineers working together. But these were quick licenses. I wanted to do end-to-end product development. So when I came back to Bangalore, I formed this company with 2 senior people, one who had a lot of money and one who had a lot of experience. So this is a venture capitalist, Siraj Dhanani, and there's a technology expert who worked for GE for like 35 years, Mr. Vijay Rajan, and I'm the clinical guy. Together formed this company, InnAccel, which does the same principle. We create teams, engineer, doctor, designer. Send them to hospital, understand the problem, then think of the solution. And bought a chain of products, right? So that team over there has developed VapCare, is one of the novel devices to reduce ventilator-associated pneumonia by doing better secretion management for ICU patients. SARS is a very specific Indian product, which is a mechanical CPAP device to transport children with respiratory distress from one hospital to the other. because there's nobody taking care of them in between. So this can be used by the relative. They can pump without any skill. It will give the right amount of pressure for the lungs to ventilate. This is the ENT team. I kind of head this team. So Sinocare is the India's first Indian-made balloon sinoplasty device. And that's the product that I'm using across the country today, is to treat sinus diseases without removing any tissue, right? You just put in a balloon, dilate it, and all your sinuses are clear. And that's the other device which we see a lot in rural areas, is children put foreign bodies in their nose. This is a very low-skill device that a pediatrician or a general physician can use to remove foreign bodies from the nose. And I'm happy to say that all 4 products are in the market in the span of 2.5 years of development today. So that's that. So one day Dr. Ravi Nair, he's now the dean of a cancer hospital called HCG Cancer Hospital. He invited me. He's like, oh, you started developing devices, you give a talk to our doctors. So I went and gave a talk to the doctors, and the doctors enjoyed it a lot because I shared all the secrets of how a doctor can invent. And everyone gave a very big round of applause. And I thought, Dr. Ravi Nair is standing there, I thought I'll do a moonwalk, so he pats my back. Finally I'm a biting dog. But you know what he says? Jagdish, to abhi bhi bhauk raha hai. He's still barking. I'm like, sir, what are you telling? Sir, look at this. I'm somehow managing with teams, developing devices. You're still saying I'm barking. He's like, you are barking about it. How many places can you go bark about it? Can you talk to every doctor in the country? Can you go to every medical college? How will your voice reach everyone? You're just barking like this. It's not practically possible. So he's like, what should I do? He's like, write a book. So I did. Just to get Dr. Ravi Nair happy, I wrote a book in 2 weeks called Inventing Medical Devices. I told him, sir, there are no successes in this. They're just failures, goof-ups. But I basically released the secrets of everyone. How much does a lawyer cost? How much does an engineer charge you? What are the typical licensing terms? What are the stages of development of device? So that people can read it. But I largely did it so that Dr. Ravi Nair finally just agrees I'm a biting dog, right? I was surprised that this, this was the slide for that. So I was surprised that over 10,000 copies got sold in a month. And that was the first time I realized that people love to read about failures. Because somebody else is doing bad, they automatically feel good. So paisa vasool, right? But I realized that in such a niche field of inventing medical devices, a lot of people are interested, because I think that's where a lot of us are now moving towards, developing our own technology. And there is no book actually in India that talks about Indian medical devices. Somehow with the serendipity of Dr. Ravi Nair, this happened to be the first book. But I started getting a lot of calls. इसमें बहुत spelling mistakes हैं, formatting is not good. I'm like, you were not supposed to read it. I just wrote it for an internal purpose. So I had to call back all the copies and republish it formally with this book. This is what it looks like now. You can buy it from Notion Press, and it's a much more well-edited version of the book. And then because I realized there's such a big business of, failing, because I've been failing a lot since my childhood, and people love to read about failures. So I wrote a more general book on failures. This is Dr. Ravi Nair, guys, if you see him. These are some other people, I don't know if you know them. But because there was so much about failures that people love to read, I wrote a general book on failures called Benefits of Failing Successfully. Right now it is benefiting me successfully. Basically it talks about 10 benefits of mistakes that entrepreneurs commonly make, and how that can help you shape into an entrepreneurial career. I have not been able to do a lot of theatre and dramatics. My last big play was in 2015, and I don't get time to do plays because of my clinical commitments and innovation commitments. So someone gave me the advice to do stand-up comedy, so here's what I've been doing. This is an image of me with all the devices that are now made it to the market. And in case you think I don't operate, I've taken some photos. And this is me doing some stand-up comedy. You can watch me on YouTube on the Mug Out Small Things. I just finished my 100th performance last week, and my first international performance in Dubai also last week. And this is the 100th time I've given this talk, actually, in the country, barking about it. So if you want to spread the word, please ask them to buy my book. And yeah, so that's me, guys. And thank you very much. I don't carry my card, but I have my phone number, my email address, and Twitter handle here. I leave this slide on while you have any Q&As, but thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Vinod, and thank you everyone for coordinating and having me here. I had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a great session. Now the session is open for discussion.
I'm off from AIMS. I know Dr. Program Barber.
Yes.
Actually, director for sustainability. I think so far actually they must have done more than 30, 40
Yes.
patents built. And the patents, converting them into starters, how much we are successful into that actually? Because everybody goes for the patent. But converting patent into starters, that is a big challenge actually. And
Yes.
that is actually achievement actually.
Yes.
Everybody files their patent actually, but after that, since you have already gone into the starters,
Yes, sir.
that I congratulate you actually for this thing actually, which is required for this country, low cost devices actually. But what are the reason why people only file the patent and they don't go for the starters?
So it's a great question. A lot of people have this in mind, but there's also a lot of misconceptions associated with it that do this. One is, I think in India, patents are given their undue importance and it should not be given, first of all. Because in India, honestly, to get a patent granted, it almost takes 8 to 9 years. I have had numerous exits and my products are in the market. I have got 0 patents granted to me today. None of them have been granted. My first patent was filed in 2009. It is still sitting in the Chennai examination office, right? But the product is already in the market. The value of the patent is that it gives a name of the innovators to that technology, and it will stop other people from stopping me. It's a protection thing, patent protection thing. So what happens is in the early discussions of patent and royalty sharing, most of the companies die out, or most of those debates go ugly, and people don't take it forward. From Stanford-India Biodesign, they did it for 7 years, and at least from every year there is a company that has come out successfully. The first company that was started called Contour Medical, which is based out of Delhi, is now already got an FDA approval and they're exporting outside India, not only in India. They've gone out and exported. They also don't have a granted patent. So I think that understanding of the value of patent and the how that what are the realistic sharing and those kind of things is a big gap. And if you understand that really well, it's not that difficult to form a company, and you can form a company without a patent also. So that is the thing, sir. I hope I've answered your question with that.
And how much is support from the government actually starting this type of initiative? Because
Yes.
imported versus Indian is a huge cost difference. Actually.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And in fact, the moment you develop something in India, the price automatically comes down by 60 to 70%. The reason is that the international development, they have to amortize the cost for testing. The testing, validation, salaries, and those indirect costs are extremely high. In India, they're extremely affordable. So the same product can be made much more affordability. Sorry, sir, your first question was what, sir? What is the support from government? Government support is immense, and yes. I'm extremely proud to say our government today is absolutely supportive. They're so supportive that if you have an idea and you apply for a grant, you will get 50 lakh rupees just to try it out. There are so many grants. There's a biotech ignition grant. There is an IIPME medical technology grant, and there are like a lot of grants. And I think over 100 startup companies have just been created from these grants of low risk money, which means you don't even have to have a product. You just have to have an idea. They will pay you for your patent filing. They will pay you for your company starting. They will pay you for salaries. There are so many doctors who are working from institutes who have been a part of these companies, and they have got funding. So I think the support for Make in India has been immense, and I'm very happy to say that. So now is a good time to invent medical devices, and even if you don't have access to instruments and technologies, government has created maker spaces where you can go work. There's working space for you to work. You can use lathe instruments, silicon instruments, prototyping facilities. At least in the top cities, Hyderabad is definitely leading. The Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune. These places all have maker spaces funded by the government and grant management agencies.
Another thing, actually, I have interacted so many NRIs.
Yes.
There's young people who are working there in Silicon and SFO and all that.
Yes.
They're very keen to come back and contribute to the nation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But they have already the apprehension that if we go come back,
Yes.
how much support we are going to get from the government. Actually, that is the issue. Now, how to make them comfortable that to motivate them to come back? Because now the atmosphere in our country is really very positive. Actually.
Yes, yes.
I think something needs to be done on that level. Actually.
Absolutely.
Still, they have apprehension.
Yes, yes.
If we leave a good job in
Yes.
Silicon Valley and come back to India where support will not be there, actually, that's something gap needs to be bridged actually.
True, sir. True, sir. I think the process has started. I know at least of a few NRIs who have come back and started forming products like the Embrace product. There are, there's a company called Bempo from a guy who came back. But there are not as many numbers to make people comfortable. But their success stories will make more and more people comfortable to come back. In fact, with the economies crashing in the US and medtech money becoming less in US, everyone's looking at India and global market right now. And that's why I think the next 10 years would be a huge boom of medtech innovations from India, and probably it will change the pattern of then exporting to other countries rather than importing in the time to come.
Actually, last year I was in the US for about 2 months actually talking to so many people about this. Even my son-in-law actually is working in IBM.
Yes.
His area is he's a full specialist in business intelligence. He wants to come back actually, but he asked me like, how much actually he will be able to get his score. I think that I can motivate him, he can come back.
Yes, yes, sir. I'll be happy to talk to him also. Great. Yes, anybody has question?
Hi, basically not a question, it's a statement like I had worked with Dr. Ravinaya in HCG.
Oh, great.
And I think under his guidance, you know Dr. Vishal Rao.
Yes, yes, yes.
So he has invented the processes, voice processes.
Yes, yes, yes. Home processes.
Home processes. So I think it's, I never heard about, I mean, since I worked in that project, I know about Dr. Ravinaya and Dr. Vishal Rao, but this side of Dr. Ravinaya I never knew. So
Good, you
thanks a
don't know
lot.
that. he's a lot more, like I think the more he's gone into medtech, he's become a more socially acceptable person.
But me and he always had a fight, like every time we worked together. So
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I always credit Dr. Ravinar. I have taken permission in writing from him so that later on he doesn't get upset. But I think whatever I am today is because of the guidance he gave. Because I wasn't able to see this far. I was only just trying to clear my exams, become a doctor like everyone else. But you need someone to push you and show you the way that you wouldn't have seen. So I always credit him, and I'm happy that I was lucky to have someone like Dr. Ravinar to pave the path for me.